Welcome to Stealth Artisan Live. I'm ASHLER. We're going to be playing around with some of the auto stuff in Dreams. That's where we left off at in this tutorial. So let's continue.
Let's build on the melody by adding some chords. Go to the sound menu and select Search Music Clips again. Over here are some chord clips. Hover over the clips to preview them, then select one with X. I'm going with Suspended Pad, but you can make your own choice. Stamp your clip onto a new row of the timeline and snap it to the start. Click R3 to listen and notice how the clips play together in time. Click L3 to rewind. Now let's add some drums. Go back to the sound menu and select Search Music Clips. Find the drum clips in the collection. A drum beat can really change the feel of a track. I love these samba practice drums. Pick a drum clip you like, then stamp it onto the timeline under the melody and chords.
Good to see you, boss.
Hey, how you doing? What is going on with that? So if I lock that in like right there, it's gonna sound weird. And here, over here, it sounded okay. Is that what's happening? Or is my ears just... Huh. Odd. I don't know what's happening there. Can I duplicate you with ease? Yes, no, no, yes. What are you up to, Alec? Play. Yeah, hear that? That sounds weird.
LUL, may you should just hire Danny Elfman for your music.
Interesting. Can I zoom in on this? Ooh, nice. Curious if it's just like off a little bit, because I feel like this one here, this beat with this, I wonder if I can, do we have an option right here to mute it? No. Maybe in here though. Yeah. Okay, let's mute that. I think I muted this as well. And, ooh, and that. Let's turn you back on. See, that sounds good. A little bit right there, that's a little bit weird. This one seems a little bit off. Let's the only thing I think of is maybe this is being weird right now. No, no. Keep you there. Where is it? Clone, clone. There we go. There's clone. Boom. Yeah, I'm working on a tutorial right now, so I'll play around with doing music later. And I feel like this stuff, I don't really want to mess with it. I want to create these. Not want to build it from scratch, not use other people's stuff. Because the notion that I would like to do is to be able to record something, technically do maybe a stream where I just mute myself for a minute and play sounds, and then export that that video from Twitch to YouTube, download it, and then cut it up, and then extract the sound so that I can then use elsewhere. Which seems a long way around to get interesting music from like this program, but it'd be fun to do that here and there. Let's see here. Trying to think. Copy that. This right here. Okay, let's kill this. And this, too. Maybe that's part of it. The weirdness. And we play. No. Where's our rewind? Rewind, play. Yeah, one of them is like seems off, which is odd. I don't understand why a repeat of the same things stacked next to each other would sound different. That doesn't make any sense. Having this and this, the two same things, do different sound. Let me do a quick experiment here. Let's see. And then this and play. What's happening there? Is it like repeating? It seems like there's almost like a so is this just the so maybe duplicating it is not the way to go about this. Possibly what it is this here I'm probably jumping the gun here, but this is fun to oh crap. Do you want to do that? I think what it is it's stacking. For some reason when I'm doing this one, it's playing this one and that one together, which makes it sound weird. And what I'm supposed to be doing here with these ones is going inside this stuff, and there should probably be like a repetition, like how many times it plays, twice maybe, or what am I trying to say? How many times it repeats is what I would assume here. So that's one extra repeat, and then it stops. So if there would be a spot in here where I could increase that number, that, or it's just based on this right here, like the notion of stretching it, if that's even a thing. Because I think I can make this, yeah, shorter, longer.
Cream. My dad build me another shelf for more books.
Alright, so I assume this would actually keep it going without it causing any weirdness. The problem with this is the notion of wanting to start it. Do, 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 do. Hmm. Okay, and play again here. I think that sounded okay now, right? Yeah. It's still very confusing though. Because if you're wanting it to start, you know, that should be able to be a thing. Weird. Well, let's see what this guy has to say. Very
Now
odd.
click R3 to listen to how it sounds. All the clips in the collection are in the same time and key, so you can mix and match them easily. Click L3 to rewind. In the next step, I'll show you how to edit the length of your clips and how to add fades.
Currently right now there's something weird going on where you're trying to link these two, but maybe there's something with the timing and connecting them. Because obviously it's there's 4 things here, so if I'm going to do a stall, I would have to do it clear out here, 4 things away. Thing is when it play over here, sounds off, I think. That sounds a little bit better there. I don't know. I may just be a little bit crazy about it. Let's try something else.
When you hover over a clip on the timeline, you'll see dotted lines light up at the start and at the end of the clip. Move closer to the timeline so you can see them properly. These are trim handles. We can use them to change the length of a clip. Hover over the handle on the end of the drum clip, then hold R2 to grab it. These clips are loops, so you can extend the clip beyond its original length. All the clips in the collection can be extended in this way. Trim handles are really useful for arranging and remixing. They let you use just a section of a clip without having to edit the music notes inside. On top of the trim handle, you'll see a little coloured gizmo. Move in closer to see it properly. This is a fade handle. You can use it to fade the volume of a clip in or out. It works just like the trim handle. Grab the gizmo with R2 and move your imp left or right to create a fade.
How?
Grab the gizmo with R2 and move your imp left or right to create a fade.
Interesting.
Try adding a fade out on the chord clip so it drops off gradually. Drag it out further for a longer fade. Now click R3 to run time. Doesn't that sound cool?
Okay. Can do.
You may have noticed that the music stops as soon as the playhead reaches the end of the timeline. In the next step, I'll show you how to make your timeline loop. Now click L3 to rewind. To make the track play constantly in the scene, we need to set the timeline to loop. We can do this in the Timeline's Tweak menu. Hover over a blank area of the timeline, hold L1 and press square to open its Tweak menu. In here we can change the timeline settings. In here we can Tweak menu. Hover over a blank area of the timeline, hold L1 and press square to open its Tweak menu. In here we can change the timeline settings. Find the playback mode section.
Oh, that's cool.
There are 3 options. Once means the timeline will play once all the way through when it's powered on. Sustain means the timeline will pause when it's powered off, then resume once it's powered on. Loop means the timeline will play repeatedly while it's powered on. Hover over the loop icon and press X to change the playback mode. You can also change the playback speed in the tweak menu. Hover over the playback speed slider and hold X to grab it. Now move your imp to the left or right to adjust the value. Click R3 to hear your adjustments live. You can also adjust the slider by hovering over it and pressing the up or down directional buttons. See how it sounds when it's slowed down or sped up a little. To close the tweak menu, hover over it, hold L1 and press circle. You can also tweak music clips to make them loop. Just hover over them, hold L1 and press square to open their tweak menus. You can also change their volume and tempo. Be careful changing the tempo, as your clips could go out of time with the others. We've made a cool piece of music. You can also change their volume and tempo. Be careful changing the tempo, as your clips could go out of time with the others.
Where is this at?
Music clips to make them loop. Just hover over them. To close the tweak menu, hover over it, hold L1 and press circle. You can also tweak music clips to make them loop. Just hover over them, hold L1 and press square to open their tweak menus. You can also change their volume and tempo. Be careful changing the tempo, as your clips could go out of time with the others. We've made a cool piece of music, but you can carry on adding more clips if you want to. Maybe you heard something in a tutorial collection that would sound awesome in your arrangement. Try trimming and looping tracks. See what you can come up with. If you need extra space, you can extend the timeline by grabbing the edges with X.
Let's see here. Open.
All the clips we've used in this tutorial come from the Media Molecule Music Collection. The collection contains lots of music clips you can use, as well as some complete tracks. Look for it in the Dreamiverse next time you're making music in sound mode. Once you've finished, switch over to play mode and listen to your track in the scene. To end the tutorial, just press Options and select the Exit Creation button.
What's going on now? That's interesting. So this stuff will be interesting to learn, because I'm curious, like, so if it's at 60, what is like the math to keep that okay with the BPM on it? Because there's notion of doubling it, which would be this is doing in percentages here too, which is interesting. Which I think the notion of what doubling would be 200. Is that right? Yeah. So what would be then 150 would be half of that, and that should be still fine, right? Yeah, that's saying that's really bad now. Let's see here. So alright.
Switch over to play mode and listen to your trackers. To end the tutorial, just press Options and select the Exit Creation button.
Really? So confusing. Oh, interesting. And the most selected, that's why. There we go. Cool. Okay. I'd like to just continue. Guess I can come here to come back here to level up. This is creepy. How do you know that? You've been talking to Google. Let's see here. Oh, did I miss this?
In this tutorial, we'll master paint mode. Uh-oh. Looks like Connie's having a bad day. Cuthbert got a bit handy with the lawnmower and mucked up her garden. Sorry, Connie. Let's paint her a lovely new one in paint mode. So, to explain, everything you see in dreams is made up of little splats called flecks. They can be big, loose and painterly, or small, tight and smooth. In paint mode, we deal with strokes, like real-life painting. Strokes are lines of flecks that you draw in 3D space using your imp. Let's make some now. Go to the assembly menu. If it's closed, just press the square button to open it.
That just blew my mind
Then
just right
open the
now.
modes menu with X. It's this little group of icons.
So I could draw
In the modes menu,
in a space
select
and then
paint
use the
mode.
comb to comb
It
it
has an
to
icon
shape
with
it.
a paint squiggle. When you enter paint mode, you'll go straight into the flex menu. And the brush flex tool will be equipped to your imp. See? There's a fleck on the tip of your imp. When you're painting, everything else goes blurry and black and white to help you focus on what you're creating. You can adjust the visual feedback in your preferences, which you can find in the options menu. Try pressing and holding R2 while you move your imp around.
Why do I have
And look at that.
a
You're
block?
painting. Your imp creates a paint stroke made of a tray.
I am confused. Paint. There you go. Alright, and then let's continue. What do you say?
Trail of flex. Try changing how hard you press R2 as you paint. With the brush fleck tool, changing the pressure on R2 affects how opaque the flecks are. So if you press R2 lightly, the flecks will be more transparent.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Now press square to open the paint menu so that we can look at some new colors and finishes. Look at the top row of buttons in the paint menu to find them. As well as the flex menu, which is already open, there are also menus for colors and finishes there. You can use these to change the color and finish of your flecks. Practice with the brush flex tool and make as many strokes as you like. You can always undo any mistakes with the left directional button.
Just set the draw on plane
Once
here.
you've got a feel
Oh,
for painting, continue to the next step.
Yeah, now it's going through it. So, to be stickler on here, let's just do this. What am I doing? You. Still you, yeah. Shrink that down. Come on, color. sure that it's actually doing what we're thinking that it's supposed to be doing. Yeah, this bit here though. Is it? It's weird. Which, how do we do that? I think there's gotta be a way to go from that to that, so maybe it's clicking this or holding down one of these buttons. No, still in paint mode. Thing is what I'd really like to learn how to do is to make sure that it just always throws it down on a plane. And I want to say there's got to be a way in here to do that, where it's just you create like a wall or something. This is interesting though, where you're doing stuff like that. I didn't think it would do that. That's kind of weird. Hmm. Alright. Talk to me.
Was that fun? Now that you've made a gorgeous painting, hold L1 and press circle to scope out of paint mode. It's just like scoping out of a group and works the same way for all creation
painting.
modes. A painting is a single object created in paint mode, just like a sculpture is a single object created in sculpt mode. In assembly mode, you can move, scale, and rotate your painting.
So weird.
To edit the strokes in the painting, you can scope into it, just like you can with a group. Try scoping into the painting you just made. Hover over it, hold L1, then press X to scope in. When you scope into a painting, you will automatically be put back into paint mode and equipped with the brush fleck tool. Press circle to unequip the brush fleck tool. Now you can use the move tool on the individual strokes in the painting. You can scope out of the painting again with L1 and circle.
Okay. What is going on? Why is it rotating like that? That's crazy. Shouldn't me being in this thing, shouldn't it focus on the painting? Like, whatever I've done? Or is it focusing on whatever I'm looking at the moment? Or where this guy's orientated? Ah, okay, yeah. Just focusing on this dude. So, yeah, it's gonna rotate around him. Alright. So because it was there, it was rotating big, because it was like, yeah, I don't know why that was doing that. Interesting. Why isn't that fucking... So, let's see what this does real quick. Turn some things on that I don't think I maybe should have. It's like this right angle one. Not sure about this. Stand up. I wonder if that would keep the flux flat. Yeah, let's go ahead and turn these off though. Play.
Do you fancy making some flowers for Connie's garden? Connie loves flowers. Let's start by making a leaf, and then we can work our way up to the petals. Delete your practice painting using triangle. Then enter paint mode in the modes menu. Choose a color and a finish from the paint menu. Then choose a fleck to paint with. Use the up and down directional buttons to adjust the size of the fleck. Now paint a simple stroke. Remember, the harder you press, the more opaque the flecks will be. If you want to take another shot at it, just undo with the left directional button and try again. When you're happy with your leaf, go to the next step.
Oh wow, you did a good job. I am impressed with your leaf. Okay, let's find the right thing. Thing right now I'm struggling with is how close my guy is. Can I get him? So he's like, you see how far away he is right now? Yeah, he's like going clear out in the distance. Do I need to like get closer to a? Yeah, there he goes. No, he's still clearing the hell out there. And I'll be drawing and clearing the hell out there. Why is it doing that? Is my size weird? And me resetting does reset him, but he's like going background, foreground, background, foreground. Okay, I must have messed with something here. Let's go back. Okay. Now he's working. Alright, so no. Odd. Let's see here. And get those other selections that we were messing with earlier. Center there. Does that do that? Circle help with that? Let's try some different brush strokes here. Hit again. We're getting some weird situational errors there, I feel, with this. This stuff. Now how do I move in quickly again? Okay. Let's try to see if we can get closer to like these objects. Yes, okay. This. Wanted this. I'm gonna try this color initially. And try to paint. Let's go ahead and turn that off. That's what's messing me up. Yep, that's what it was. Figured it out. Good. This was trying to do a surface thing, so it would snap into anything that was in the distance. If I had an easel like I was doing earlier, it would be fine. That would have worked. Okay. So now we can try to do this. And I think I'm going to jump ahead, maybe, with some kind of awareness of stuff that I can possibly do, or at least I think I can do. I'm going to see if I'm able to comb this. So I can actually make it closer to a leaf. Still don't know if there's like an erase tool. Like that bit and that bit there would be nice to be able to just erase it. Paint. Because I'm seeing... Because the other stuff has an eraser to it. Why wouldn't this one? I guess it's better to draw in small amounts so that you can actually have a more control over your editing, I guess. Alright. Let's extend this bit here. And let's go ahead and try, yeah, see, we're already having these issues that I find weird. See here, at, what is it, that point right there, I need to now go in and switch to this. Now that I can actually draw off of that, but now, no, it's going off of that though too, so, yeah. So that doesn't really work well either. I could make sure I'm drawing on it, but it does not help with me extending that. The only thing I can think of is if there's an option to create like a wall of some sort that's affiliated with it. Studio lighting. Okay. Let's see if this... other stuff's still stuck on there yet. Let's see. It's still drawing through it now. Alright. Need to pay attention to where if my character's in front or behind. That's what I need to do there. Problem is yeah, still getting that. So now, for the thing that I'm trying to do here, then yes, turn that on. Would work fine. I guess that's a thing. To actually grab these pieces, place them where we want them. Thing is what was that? I kind of liked the notion of it curving like that, having like a three-dimensional feel to it. Let's try to mess with the comb. Play around with that before he tells me to do it. Where are you at? Does the comb not exist for this? outside of this thing. That's maybe what it is. This comb's not there. Comb. Where was that comb at? It was in here. But that kind of worked. So how do I grab things instead of painting them? This guy, most likely, I guess, right? Why is it just moving there? I was like auto dragging it just by me touching it. That's weird. Yeah, it's pulling it to the camera every time I grab it. Yeah, that's weird. Maybe not that method. Maybe there's something else that's wrong with me trying to do it that way. Alright. Let's go back to here. Dark. And yes, and then okay, maybe the movement is probably maybe the having that on is maybe what it was. And I'm still on movement. Where I backed into it. 1 and 2. Now this is a little bit interesting here. Not sure if the doing the directional thing with the comb has made this stuff a little bit weird or not. Because this stuff right here, it's not letting me really paint on top of it, which is odd. Huh. Odd that does that to it. Alright, let's change color. Okay, I feel like I'm getting maybe a little bit more purchase on certain spots, but still not all of them. I just need to like get in there more. Oh wow. Oh, that weirdness. How far back do I have to go to fix that? Yeah, I feel like that's happened to me when I was doing some of my other canvas experiments. Which I'm hoping I can get rid of them easily. I kind of want to test this out, messing with the, what do you call it, comb again. I assume this is going to screw this up, but, oh, that's interesting. Very interesting. Ooh, okay, we need to back off this, click this, go in. Is that not on? Huh. The comb seems to like mess this up. I wonder if this would fix it. Let's see if this still works. Come on. Click here, and then you hover over it, and it should be able to grab it, right? You grabbing that color? Don't look like it. For a split second there, it seems like it's changing its color. But I feel like it's hit and missing it. I wonder if there's another. What about going doing that? Alright, let's continue and listen to what he has to say now.
Next, let's paint a stalk. In the context menu, you'll see a button with a plus sign icon. Select this button to start a new painting. For the stalk, we'll use the DrawFlex tool. Open the paint menu with square if it's closed, then select the tools menu. The DrawFlex tool icon is a pencil. Select it with X. DrawFlex acts more like a pen than a paintbrush. The harder you press R2, the larger the stroke gets. So if you press gently, the stroke will be quite small. When you scale the DrawFlex tool, the fleck will get much bigger. That's because it's showing you the maximum size of the fleck. When you stop scaling, it reverts back to the smallest size the fleck can be. Try drawing a flower stalk with it. Have a few goes to practice. Adjust the pressure on R2 as you paint the stroke, so that the stalk tapers at the end. Don't worry about lining it up with the leaf though. We'll do that later. When you're happy with your stalk, continue to the next step.
So, I was wanting that. We're wanting... guess this for right now. And let's rotate this a little bit more. Are we on the right setting here? No. Yeah, maybe I need to be using more with the pencil than I do the paintbrush. See, there that goes again. Disconnected. What point does my little guy here? I'm curious. If I back out and then back in, is it more likely to draw on that surface like perfectly? No. Still created depth. Why? Let's go ahead and kill that. And play that again. How much is this stuff resetted? Like, everything? That's weird. I should remember that stuff. Alright, let's take a look at that. Alright. Undo. I'm wanting something. Yeah. A little bit more curved organic. I guess it's just your first line brush. When you brush it, it's whatever, and then if you brush it again, that second one's gonna be weird, or no, that's fine. Wow, I'm surprised about that. See, that one's dead. So it's like you can't get it back. So it's like you can draw that first one. Okay. But you can't add to it beyond that. Alright.
Now the exciting bit, the flower. In the context menu, select the Start New Painting button. By starting a new painting, the flower will be a separate object to the stalk. We're going to paint the petals with the Stamp Flex tool, plus a special ingredient. You can find Stamp Flex in the Paint Mode Tools menu. Select it with X, then choose a fleck, color, and finish for your flower's petals. Now for that special ingredient, the Kaleidoscope Guide. You can find Kaleidoscope in the Guides menu, which is in the top row of the Paint menu. The Kaleidoscope icon looks like a snowflake. Select it with X to turn it on. Leave the settings as they are for now. You can experiment with them later. You'll now have a clump of 5 flecks on your imp. Stamp the clump in your scene. That will set the center of the kaleidoscope. There will now be 1 fleck on your imp and 4 others floating around the center point. Whatever you do with the fleck on your imp will be mirrored by the other 4. You might need to adjust your position to get a good view. You could also try rotating the fleck on your imp. To do that, hold L2 and use the sticks, or stroke the touchpad. You can use the up and down directional buttons to scale the flecks. Whatever you do, make a flower you like the look of. If you mess up, you can just undo it with the left directional button and try again. Add as many petals as you like. Try using different colors and sizes. You could also try using the other painting techniques you've learned. If you want to delete parts of the bloom, just unequip the Stamp Flex tool by pressing circle. Then use triangle to delete any parts you don't like. If you delete the first flecks you stamped, the kaleidoscope guide will still be centered on their position. With the Move tool equipped, you can also move or even clone parts of the painting. Flecks created with the kaleidoscope guide will always behave like a kaleidoscope, even when the guide is turned off. Go ahead and experiment. Then, when you're happy, proceed to the next step.
Why are you still rotating? Okay. Let's add maybe some more around the base, or let's do a separate thing actually. Then anyway, can I just clone you? Change your color? Yeah, it's not gonna give me what I want. Think. Think. Yeah, we do this, and then we do what? Dang it. Will that work? No, I want that other one, right? think I would like to change this guy. This guy can go. We will do him again. Let's go ahead and find a better flake. And it's also, what is it? What this? We want that to start out with. We need to turn off the this guy here too, and let's look and see if we can find a decent enough starting point here for our leaf. Huh. Hmm. And again, that weirdness. So am I on what? Hmm. Much better. Hmm. That last bit there's tricky though. Let's try that again. No, no. Why you clear out there, bud? I don't have any of that on, no. Hmm. Yeah, this is really sad that it does this. That it has a reset default position on here. And then you have to go back in and change everything. Yet again, that last little bit. I guess I need to start with the this this bit first, and then maybe I'm just hitting the wrong button. Is what it was. Yeah, I think I was just hitting the wrong button. This feels fat though, like it's almost three-dimensional right now. Cool. It'll do. It'll do for right now. I don't think this stuff really saves that I can use it, so.
Now we've finished painting, unequip the stamp fleck tool with circle. And if it's still on, turn off kaleidoscope in the guides menu too. Scope out of the painting by holding L1 and pressing circle. Now you can assemble the parts of the flower using the move tool. Beautiful. Let's group the flower so it's a single object. Select all of the flower parts with X. And now select the Group button in the context menu.
Pause you. Alright. And the size of that. Alright, that's okay. Let's go ahead and clone and flip, flip, flip. Hopefully this is still on the same plane, so it'll stay there. Good. Okay. Let me rotate. No. One. You rotate the other way. Okay. You again. Copy. Drop you down here. do I get from there to there, huh? Come on. There we go. Alright. Now I want to group initially this, this, this together. Let me group it. And then I kind of want to clone it and rotate it. There we go. This is an issue with the notion that I wanted to try to do here. Yeah, it's not gonna work, is it? Hmm. Well, let's just stick with what we've got. Technically, I could add some leaves sticking out that way to help it, but we're just gonna stick with what we got here for right now. Let's see here. What else does he have to say?
There! We've made the flower a single group that we can move, scale, rotate, and clone. I spy some charming plant pots. How about we put the flower in one of them? Now let's make another flower by cloning the first one. So hold L1, then grab the flower with R2 to make a clone. We don't want them all to look identical though. Let's make a different bloom. You can scope into the flower group by holding L1 and pressing X over it. Now delete the bloom from the top of the plant. Let's do something a bit different with this flower. In the next step, I'll show you how to edit the appearance of your flex.
Okay, no. Man, that thing. I don't know. Not sure what would help that out. The only thing I can think of is if it could just stay near the edge. Kicking it into the center is just frustrating. It gets in the way. It'd almost be nice if you could click something on the side thing so it was dynamic and it stayed out of this thing's way. So it would kind of move itself out of wherever your cursor's at. So if I moved over here, it would try to chase itself away from it, and then I would need to hold down like maybe a button or click something over here to turn that on and off. What am I trying to do? This, and add. Okay, want to bring this over here. I'm gonna put this in this pot and a little bit taller that way, but smaller this way. And the best way to probably do this would be to draw like more lines coming off of this directly, like get at a side pose and just draw a line there and draw a line there. But this is just a tutorial.
So, let's make a
Put effort
beautiful new
into
bloom for
our
this
actual
flower.
stuff.
Enter paint mode and equip the stamp flex tool. To make this bloom look a little different, we're going to edit the flex appearance. We can do that by selecting the Edit Fleck button in the context menu. Or use the shortcut. Hold L1 and press square to open the...
Oh, so do I need to clone it then? Is that what we're doing here? So I need to take this. Oh. Merge painting. Ooh. That intrigues me. Alright, come on. What are we doing? Shrink you down so you're smaller. I'm going to do what he was saying with the tutorial here. So he was telling me to go in here and get a different flag. So this get weird. Let's do streaks. And initially here, and then I think he was wanting stamped tool as well. And he was talking about editing.
To edit the flex appearance. We can do that by selecting the Edit Fleck button in the context menu. Or use the shortcut. Hold L1 and press square to open the Fleck editor. It's the same shortcut as opening a tweak menu. The Fleck editor has sliders for altering the appearance of the Fleck. They look a bit different to the sliders you see in tweak menus, but they work much the same way. Try dragging them up and down using X and see what they do to the Fleck on your imp. How exciting! The fade slider adds extra flecks that fade away near the edges. The scatter slider adds extra flecks with impasto to create a more three-dimensional clump of flecks. The opacity slider makes the Fleck more transparent. Once you've adjusted the sliders to your liking, simply press circle to exit the Fleck editor and start painting with your Fleck. Now create a new bloom for the flower. Perhaps try turning on Kaleidoscope again.
Pause you real quick. I want to actually so that edits doesn't edit. Does that? That's not permanent to it, is it? Let's see. No, it's not. So I think I want to try one of these. Actually, like this one here, and boom. Okay. Then we have this. Let's go into, I guess, this. And this. Oh dear. Okay, come on. Come on. You can do it. My color's not the right color, but I think I can fix that. So where's my guys at? Okay. Odd. Okay, we'll try this again.
So, let's make a beautiful new bloom for this flower.
Okay, let's try to see if we can't change that guy's color here. So it'd be this, this, and this. Right. That's not what I want now. Let's go with this instead. Add, subtract. Open. Yeah, that's actually just off. General there. So let's fix that. Back out. Move over. We'll go into here as well.
enter paint mode and equip the stamp flex tool. To make this bloom look a little different, we're going to edit the flex appearance. We can do that by selecting the Edit Fleck button in the context menu. Or use the shortcut. Hold L1 and press square to open the Fleck editor. It's the same shortcut as opening a tweak menu. The Fleck editor has sliders for altering the appearance of the fleck. They look a bit different to the sliders you see in tweak menus, but they work much the same way. Try dragging them up and down using X and see what they do to the fleck on your imp. How exciting! The fade slider adds extra flecks that fade away near the edges. The scatter slider adds extra flecks with impasto to create a more three-dimensional clump of flecks. The opacity slider makes the fleck more transparent. Once you've adjusted the sliders to your liking, simply press circle to exit the Fleck editor and start painting with your fleck. Now create a new bloom for the flower. Perhaps try turning on Kaleidoscope again. When you're finished, exit the painting by pressing L1 and circle. Move the new bloom onto the stalk, and then scope out of the group with L1 and circle. When you're done, move on to the next step. Now we have some new flowers, how about a bit of rain to water them? We can do that by creating an animated stroke. Make sure you're scoped out of any paintings or groups. Then select Paint Mode from the Modes menu. For the rain, we'll use the Rule Flex tool. It's in the Paint Mode Tools menu. The icon looks like a ruler. The Rule Flex tool lets you draw straight lines made of flecks. Choose a fleck, colour and finish for your rain. Something watery. Then close the menu with square. These flecks are going to be raindrops, so make them small using the down directional button. Move your view back from the flowers so that you can see plenty of space above them. Then position your imp at a reasonable distance above the flowers and press and hold R2. Stretch the stroke down to the grass at a slight angle, then release R2 to stamp it. This line of flex is going to be the path of the raindrop. Unequip the Rule Flex tool with Circle, then scope out of your painting using L1 and Circle. It doesn't look like much at the moment, but in the next step, I'll show you how to make it look more rainy. To animate the painting, we need to tweak it. So hover your imp over the painting you just made. Hold L1 and press square to open its tweak menu. Look for the animation page of the tweak menu. The tab has a clapperboard icon. The slider at the top controls the playback speed. Grab the slider with X and pull it to the right. You won't see anything change to start with. In order to see animation, you'll need to start time by clicking R3. Use the grab cam or the sticks to get up close to the stroke, and you'll see the flecks are moving along it. You can increase the playback speed to make them move faster. The next step is to switch on pulse. When pulse is on, you won't see the whole stroke. Instead, a pulse of flex will travel down it. Select the pulse button in the animation tab of the tweak menu. Its icon is a bomb. Ah yes, that looks much more like a raindrop. You can shorten the trail of the pulse using the slider below the pulse button. Shorten the trail a little to achieve a raindrop look. The drops are still a little on the slow side. Grab the playback speed slider and turn it right up. That's more like it. One raindrop isn't going to water many flowers. Though, there's a handy way to duplicate your painting without having to clone it loads of times. I'll show you in the next step.
Sort of like a particle effect? So it's gonna just create a cloud of the same asset?
So now let's duplicate our raindrop and create a proper downpour. In the tweak menu of the raindrop painting, look for the duplicates tab. The duplicates icon is a pair of sheep, just like the clone tool. This tab is used to create duplicates automatically, based on a variety of options. The positional duplicates options determine where the copies appear. The option we want is a round camera. Select it and see what happens. Wow! Now it looks like it's really raining. This setting duplicates the painting around the camera automatically, so wherever we go in the scene, it will seem like it's raining. At the bottom of the Duplicates tab are 3 sliders. They affect how many of them there are, how far apart the duplicates are spaced, and whether they are scaled randomly. Try adjusting the sliders and see if you can create an effect you like. Then close the tweak menu using the close button in the corner, or hold L1 and press circle over the tweak menu to close it. Now that we've watered the garden, let's add some finishing touches. Open the assembly menu with square, then select the search button with X. The collection for this tutorial contains lots of great things made in paint mode. There are also more plant pots and a garden shed made in sculpt mode. Use the collection to finish making Connie's garden. Stamp some plants or pots, or paint more plants of your own. Make it lovely. When you're happy with the garden, stamp the shed in there somewhere. To finish the tutorial, switch over to play mode and walk Connie through the door of the shed.
What do we want to do here? I wanted to try to... Nope, not that. Let's see here. Come on. Come on, Ash. We're gonna do this. Brain. It's this. 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 I hope that adds subtract. Okay, sounded like it took. And we're gonna do maybe we'd have to mess with it beforehand. Kind of like there to be more of an opacity to it, but let's just go back into here. You're doing that. Talking about a shed.
Mode and walk Connie through the door of the shed. So now let's duplicate our raindrop and create a proper downpour. In the tweak menu of the raindrop painting, look for the this tab is used to determine where the wow on the camera tab and press square paint mode. There are also more plant pots and a garden shed made in sculpt mode.
Ah.
Use the collection to finish making Connie's garden. Stamp some plants or pots, or paint more plants of your own. Make it lovely. When you're happy with the garden, stamp the shed in there somewhere. To finish the tutorial, switch over to play mode and walk Connie through the door of the shed.
Hmm. Oh, that's interesting. Hmm. These are interesting. Supposed to be leaves in the ground. They're not. Yeah, I think they are. tutorial has been saved. Okay, continue. Don't think I need that one.
Connie's hosting a talent contest to find the best characters in the Dreamiverse. But she's a no-nonsense judge, and none of these candidates are up to scratch. Of course, Cuthbert's no use, so let's see if we can come up with something to impress her. Head into the dressing room, also known as edit mode, to get started. In this tutorial, we'll be customizing the appearance of a puppet. So we'll need a blank canvas to start. Go to the Assembly menu and open the Gadgets menu. Now open the Gameplay Gear menu. In here, find the blank Puppet Deluxe.
Click.
The deluxe version is the perfect starting point for making characters. Select it with X and a blue mannequin will appear on your imp. It has built-in features like jump and possession animations, which the basic version doesn't have. Connie won't be impressed by a basic puppet, so make sure you select the right one. Stamp the deluxe puppet in the scene with R2 or X. Get its feet roughly on the floor, but make sure they aren't intersecting with it. Then press the circle button to unequip the puppet from your imp. If you need to, you can grab and adjust the puppet with R2. In the next step, we'll start exploring the puppet's inner workings. The puppet might look simple, but it's quite a complex gadget. So let's get to know it a little better. It's made up of many objects that have been grouped together. And just like any other group, it can be scoped into. Hover over the puppet with your imp, press and hold L1, and then press X to scope in. Below the puppet, you will now see its base and its logic microchip. If they're obscured by the floor, you may need to scope out and adjust your puppet's position. The puppet's body is made of sculptures, joined together with connectors. When scoped in, we can grab parts of the puppet to change its pose. Before we do that, find the button called Puppet Mirror in the context menu. Select this button with X, and your puppet will stay symmetrical when you pose it. Of course, you don't have to make it symmetrical, but it's a good way to start. You can always add nuance later. When you move a part of the puppet, all the parts connected to it will also move. The root of the puppet is the pelvis, and every other part is connected in a hierarchy from there. For example, moving the upper arm will move the lower arm and the hand as well. But if you move the pelvis, the whole puppet will move. Its feet will try to stay in contact with the floor. So if you lower the pelvis, the puppet's knees will bend. You can also rotate parts by grabbing them with L2. Use R2 and L2 to create a new pose for the puppet. Changing the pose can be a great starting point for a character. The pose could be confident, sad, scared, or aggressive. Don't forget, you can undo any changes with the left directional button if you make a mistake. Use the grab cam to adjust your pose from different angles. Just hold R1 over the puppet to activate it. When you've finished posing your puppet, move on to the next step. Now we've posed our puppet, we can start adjusting its proportions. To do that, we're going to use the stretch tool. Go to the assembly menu, then open the tools menu. Select the stretch tool. It's the one that looks like a double-ended arrow. The stretch tool works like the move tool in a lot of ways. But with the stretch tool, you can move parts of the puppet beyond the limits of the connectors. Try grabbing and moving the puppet's head. Notice the way the neck elongates and shortens. Now try it on the hands. This changes the length of the upper and lower arm. Some body parts respond differently. This changes the length of the upper and lower arm. Stretch tool, you can move parts of the puppet beyond the limits of the connectors. Try grabbing and moving the puppet's head. Stretch tool, you can move parts of that looks like a double-ended arrow. The stretch tool that looks like a double. Go to the assembly menu, then open the tools menu. Select the stretch tool. It's the one that looks like a double-ended arrow. The stretch tool works like the move tool in a lot of ways. But with the stretch tool, you can move parts of the puppet beyond the limits of the connectors. Try grabbing and moving the puppet's head. Notice the way the neck elongates and shortens. Now try it on the hands. This changes the length of the upper and lower arm. Some body parts respond differently to the stretch tool. For instance, if you move the upper arms, the shoulders will broaden and the chest will expand. You can also scale parts of the puppet using the up and down directional buttons. I'd only recommend doing this to the puppet's extremities though, the head, hands and feet. Puppets are delicate contraptions, and extreme scaling and stretching can make them behave unexpectedly. But if anything does go skew-whiff, just undo it using the left directional button. If you know how to use sculpt mode, you could try scoping into the individual body parts to change their shape. You can find a whole tutorial on sculpting in the art tutorials. Have a play around with stretching and scaling and see what you can create. Try making the puppet more cartoony or turn it into a monster. Test out your puppet in play mode to see it in motion. When you're done, return to edit mode. Rewind time with L3 to get your puppet back in position. In the next step, I'll show you how to color and stylize your puppet. Another way of customizing your puppet's appearance is by changing its color. We can do this by tinting it in coat mode. If you've played my tutorial on coat, style and effects, you'll already know how to do this. In the assembly menu, go to the modes menu and enter coat mode. In the coat mode menu, open the colors menu and select a color for your puppet. Now hover over your puppet and hold R2 to tint it with your selected color. The longer you hold R2, the stronger the tint will become. If you want your puppet to be multicolored, simply scope into the puppet. Select a different color from the colors menu. Hover your imp over a part of the puppet you want to tint.
So if its legs go past that, that goes transparent, and then that lets you know it's broken? Is that what's going on? Ooh. So how do I get them back here and together? It looks like he almost made his arms like stronger there. I'm not sure how he did that.
How about the head? Now, when you press and hold R2, just that part of the you want to tint. The stronger the tint will be or puppet. Now hover over your puppet and hold R2 to tint it with your selected color. The longer you hold R2, the stronger the tint will become. If you want your puppet to be multicolored, simply scope into the puppet. Select a different color from the colors menu. Hover your imp over a part of the puppet you want to tint. How about the head? Now, when you press and hold R2, just that part of the puppet will be tinted. You can also use the tools in Style Mode and Effects Mode. Try using Style Mode to change the texture of your puppet. If you don't know how to use Style Mode, there's an art tutorial which can help you. In the next step, we'll dive into the dressing up box.
Alright, let's just actually just delete this guy. Create another one. Okay. And let's just minimize this for right now. Okay, we want to do this, select this. Okay, so that resizes like that. What do I want to do now? Just try to make these bigger. Push this back. Hmm. Oh dear. Okay. Okay. So there's that. This. Select that, rotate it. Is that not possible for me to rotate that? Or do you need to rotate it with this? Hmm. There we go. Cause now it's letting me do it. That's odd. Maybe it's just how close it was together is having issues. Now can I push out his chest further here? Guess I could create maybe some of this with some weird trickery here. Pushing that a little bit smaller, moving this forward, rotate that the right way. Yeah, something like that. And rotate this back. And then do this. I would say to do this. Want him pale. Then we want him try to get. I'm gonna attempt to make this guy look satire-ish. So we'll see if we can pull it off. Cool. That's very close. And then I think select this bit and we're not gonna go all in because I think I would like to do this just generally, but this will be our test run on some of the notions. shiny, yeah, we need to change that. Plastic, waxy. I don't know. Guess maybe rough wax. Let's look at default. Oh, I think that's already set to default. And are my hands shiny? 'Cause I think these guys here. Fine with the gloves being kind of shiny, but I think I want it to be more like this. Okay, I need to deselect you, 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 you. Right. Yeah, that's okay. As a generic satire, that's pretty good. Alright, let's check out what else he has to say now.
One of the simplest ways to customize a puppet is by adding accessories. But to make sure they move with the puppet, we need to group them with a body part. Before we do that, it's important to fully understand the concept of scoping in and out of groups and objects. If you've played part 4 of the Start Dreaming tutorials, then you'll already know a thing or two about using groups. Objects in dreams are often combined into groups, which can be treated like a single object in assembly mode. Groups themselves can also be grouped. This means that you can have groups nested inside other groups. Let's try scoping in and out of something else before we invade the puppet's personal space. Over there on the floor is a hat box. Make sure you're in edit mode. Now try taking the lid off the hat box. The whole box will move because the lid, the box, and its contents have been grouped. Undo the move with the left directional button to put it back in its place. Now scope into the group. Hover over the hat box, press and hold L1 and press X. Everything but the box should go grey and blurry. If not, make sure your visual feedback preference is set to all. This shows that you've scoped into the group and can edit its contents. Now you should be able to take the lid off the hat box. Inside is another hat box. Try taking the lid off this one.
Nope.
I think you can guess what will happen. This smaller hat box is also grouped with its lid and contents. Remove the smaller box and place it next to the large one. Now scope into this group by holding L1 and pressing X over the smaller hat box. The original hat box will go grey and blurry as we've scoped into a subgroup. Now you should be able to open the smaller hat box. What's inside? A lovely hat. Take it out and place it next to the smaller box. When you've done that, proceed to the next step. Now that we've taken the hat out of the box, let's try putting it on our puppet. First, we need to scope out of this group. To do that, simply hold L1 and press circle. That takes us back into the large hat box group. Now scope out again into the main scene by holding L1 and pressing circle. Pick up the hat. We seem to have a bit of a problem here. The hat is still inside the nested groups, even though it's outside the hat box. When you scope in and out, only you and your imp are moving in and out of objects or groups. Unless you're carrying something with you. Scope back into the large hat box group, and then into the smaller hat box group to get the hat. Now grab and hold the hat with R2, and scope out of both groups with L1 and circle while holding the hat. If you've done it correctly, grab and hold the hat. Scope back into the large hat box group, and then into the smaller hat box group. Scope back into the large hat box group, and then into the smaller hat box group to get the hat. Now grab and hold the hat with R2, and scope out of both groups with L1 and circle while holding the hat. If you've done it correctly, you should be back in the main scene. With a hat you can now move independently of the boxes. That's because scoping in and out of a group whilst holding an object adds or removes it from that group. Hurrah! Now we can put it on the puppet. Grab the hat, hover over the puppet, then hold L1 and press X to scope into the puppet with the hat. Now scope into the puppet's head while still holding the hat. This is a shortcut for grouping two objects if you're already grabbing one of them.
Okay, so these two are still done that way. So I do that, pull this out, and this thing's still that, so I need to do that. Pull that out, grab that, pull this out, and then select this, and just back out. No. Oh, well. Right. You. So what was it saying? How do I back out with it?
Now we can put it on. That's because if you've done it correctly, you should be back in the. That's because grab and hold the hat with R2 and scope out of both groups with L1 and circle while holding the hat.
So L1 and circle while
If you've done it
holding the
correctly, you should be back in the main scene. With a hat you can now move independently of the boxes. That's because scoping in and out of a group whilst holding an object adds or removes it from that group. Hurrah! Now we can put it on the puppet. Grab the hat, hover over the puppet, then hold L1 and press X to scope into the puppet with the hat. Now scope into the puppet's head while still holding the hat. This is a shortcut for grouping two objects if you're already grabbing one of them. Simply grab an object and scope into another object to group them automatically without having to select them. The same way that scoping into a group while holding an object adds it to the group. Now that it's in a group with the head, place the hat where you want it. Remember to check it from different angles using the grab cam to make sure it's in position. Press R2 softly to nudge if you need to make fine adjustments to the position of the hat.
Is that right? What I say we're...
Before you move on, you
that,
should try out the puppet to see it walk around with its new accessory. Switch to play mode, possess it with R2, and take it for a wander. Nice. When you're ready to continue, go back to edit mode.
This guy. It's interesting.
Going to play mode and back to edit mode will scope you out of any groups. Remember to rewind time with L3 to get your puppet back in position. Then go to the next step.
His legs are weird. It's kind of like a limp. Alright, it works. Rewind. Let's see here.
Okay, let's add some more accessories before our puppet's stage debut. Open the assembly menu and select Search, the button with the magnifying glass, to search for an element. Usually, you'd be in the Dreamiverse here, but for this tutorial, I've kept things simple and curated a collection of elements for you to use. Take a look at some of the accessories in the collection. Select one you like with X.
Let's see what this eyeball...
You'll now have your chosen accessory on your imp. Don't stamp it down yet though. First we need to scope into the puppet. You can do this even when you have an element from the Dreamiverse on your imp. Scope in with L1 and X, and then scope into the body part that you want to attach it to. If that body part is already in its own group, you'll enter that group. But if the body part is just a sculpture, then you'll create a new group when you stamp the object down. Once the accessory is in the group, you can adjust the accessory while you're there. Try adding some more accessories from the collection.
Okay, let's just stamp one of these now. Be cloning it.
Then it's important to test the puppet in play mode to check that the accessory is attached correctly.
Can we zoom in? Yes.
Here's another very important tip. If you ever want to remove an accessory, whatever you do, don't ungroup the body part. If you do that, you'll delete that group's connection to the puppet. And without the connector, your puppet's limbs will start falling off when you go into play mode. And nobody wants that. Instead, scope into the group containing the body part and the accessory. Then either delete the accessory or grab it and scope out. If there's only one object left in the group, it'll automatically ungroup, and the connector will remain safely connected to the remaining object. Play around with the things you've learned in this tutorial and have fun making a character. When you're happy, select the star podium from the tutorial collection and stamp it down in the outline that we've put in the scene for you. Then head back into play mode, jump onto the podium, and see what Connie thinks of your creation.
Interesting. Let's see if we can't get a bit more. And can we rotate? No, no, we need to back out one here. And rotate, rotate. And shrink the size. This will do for now. I need to try to beautiful. All right. Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit weird. It's not gonna be a perfect eye, 'cause I think it's getting weird by the stuff that we turned on, possibly. Alright. Let's what is back in here. Back in here. Let's see what this looks like. Nope. Yeah, it's probably getting closer. So we went on like a candy coated vibe with it. Yeah, yeah. And then the tricky bit. Let's see if we can pull this off. Is it in here where I could do this? Come on, let's think. I want to say it's here, 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 And then, oof, maybe this. What is going on there? Hmm. Doesn't seem to be activating here. Maybe further into the. Oh, guess I could try. Yeah. Hmm. I think that would work to get it to, do a paint job. I know I had troubles with this prior when they were trying to show me how to do this, because I can do this, but this right here just doesn't want to work properly. Oh, I can just immediately change it that way. Alright, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah, this doesn't make sense why this doesn't work. I'm curious to what causes it to not have access or to have access. Let's see here. How else could I cheese this real quick? We're talking about speed here. 'Cause I don't really want to go into it heavily. Let's just go look at the other things that you can just put on this face. Like maybe I can just throw in a mustache and whatnot, and just call it a day. we'll definitely drill into trying to actually create a decent satire eventually. Yeah. Do. Okay. Okay, I think we may have a problem here. But I think I can deal with it by just doing this. Now it's a separate thing. I click this, in. Now it should be a part of that. And then from there, I can rotate this like that. We're going to take this, and we're going to no, no, yes. Go back into there, and we're going to clone. Oh, we just want one. One, please. Why is it not working? Hmm. Okay. Now rotate the other way. There we go. Oh yeah, duh. Ugh. feel this is gonna freak out, but well, we'll play with it. Um, what else is on here? This one would be with this, right? Kind of have it maybe kind of clip through his chest a little bit, maybe. And rotate. Come on. There we go. Good job. Yeah, I think that's kind of silly where it's like almost like stuck on his chin. Let's change the color though. Yeah, I don't know. The color, I guess black. Maybe black or yellow, but I think it's too close to maybe his head for it to make sense to be yellow. I think I remember having a conceptual idea of having him wearing a blue tie for some reason. And let's change that to rough wax. And a little bit of shiny. Okay, let's rewind and see if I can take a picture in there real quick. Cool. I'm about to create something here, huh? And then I think cool. Alright, I think I'm gonna take a break. We'll see if I end up coming back and doing this or playing maybe some more creative since I've done a little bit of tutorial, but we'll see. We'll see. Need food and other things for a minute. Okay. Let's back out of this section here. Alright. That was it for now. This was Stealth Artisan Live. And I'm ASHLER. And as we return to the shadows, this all praise the moments we share. Till next time.